Hey everybody, welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Will.
I'm Brian.
This is the podcast where we talk about everything Dungeons and Dragons, from gibbering gelatinous oozes to gentle geniuses. And today, we're covering the Giant Pantheon.
The Dungeoncast.
Hey Brian.
Well, it's our biggest episode yet.
I know.
It's the biggest big guys.
It is.
They're so
the
big.
Biggest of the, it's the big guys.
They're so big they don't fit on this plane.
It's
they
true.
need another one.
That's very true. So, well, just to read the beginning of my notes, in today's episode, we aren't covering your average big guy. We are covering their gods, the big guys, if you will.
The bigger guys.
The bigger guys. The biggest
bigger guys.
They got to be the biggest guys.
Probably, right? Like that's how this whole thing works, right?
I think so. Now, the Giant Pantheon is actually a rather robust one with quite a multitude of deities, which would be impossible to cover in a single episode. So this episode is going to be primarily focused on Annam, the Allfather, the chief deity of the Pantheon.
My everything dad.
The everything dad. And his main consort, Atheia. And there will also be an overview of Annam's 7 children that he produced with an unknown sky goddess who became the primary deities of all giant kind.
Cool. Okay, so I remember Atheia a little bit.
Yeah, right.
And then I remember Annam making rocks. And we've talked about a lot about Annam and his 7 children and their creations.
You're going to be there's going to be not a recap, but you're going to be refreshed on a lot of Annam stuff very, very soon.
That's good because this thing does last a year, and we don't take like tests or anything after.
No,
for me.
Don't. We don't.
So I don't always retain all the info, but
there's a lot of info, dude.
Yeah,
so,
I am getting good at Dungeons and Dragons lore.
Yeah, yes, you are. You've improved greatly. It's true. We will also touch on the many children Annam had with Atheia herself, who, despite being the mother of all giant kind, is not the mother of their main gods. It's an enormous and messy family tree in this part of the Outer Planes, and the history and lore surrounding this pantheon are very reminiscent of the real-life mythos of Greek or Norse pantheons, full of capriciousness, hubris, betrayal, and infidelity. So let's get into it.
It's the drama.
Lots of drama, lots of backstabbing.
Love it.
So the one thing that all giants agree upon is that Annam stands over all other gods in the ordning. Annam Allfather is the chief giant deity and is credited with the creation of the giant race. He's known also as the Prime, the progenitor of worlds, the great creator, and the creator by thought. Annam is an extremely ancient god, and much of his origins are unclear. He's rumored to be the offspring of the primordial forces of law and chaos. Myths claim he fathers other gods, creates worlds, and provides the tools for others to create upon substrates. And he is even said to be the creator of the elements themselves.
Okay.
Far across all times, planes, and worlds, Annam's greatness unfolds itself. His merest passing thoughts have given birth to worlds, and the god is seen by the giants, at least, as being without peer. Honestly, Annam seems to be one of those greater deities that is so strong they kind of border on over deitydom. Like Io sometimes does. He's the dragon.
Okay.
That's the dragon one. And then Ao is the Forgotten Realms official over deity. Like now, over deitydom is way, way, way bigger than greater deitydom. But I'm just saying, like, if Annam's a greater deity, he's at the high end of that, it seems, from all the lore I've read about him.
He's like a super god.
Yeah, he's like if there was something between greater deity and over D, I think Annam would probably fall in that category.
I like this creator by thought thing. It's kind of funny to think about the war between giants and dragons and think that the giants lost when this guy can just like think of whatever he wants and kind of breathe it into existence. Right. Like, do you just have like bad ideas? Like low key?
Yeah. I mean, and maybe he does. He honestly, he doesn't seem that wise with a lot of stuff he does, but he's kind of a god of duality, and we're going to get into it. So
he's not really doing stuff on a whim, is he? Like, is he just kind of
sometimes, and then sometimes super not. So like if a god could be said to be called bipolar, it would be Annam for sure.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
Regardless, he was one of the first gods to appear in the world. His arrival predated that of dwarves, humans, and even elves. He's depicted as an enormous 100-foot-tall giant with flowing white hair and a regal beard, wearing deep blue robes.
Nice.
So Annam has a conflicted and dual nature, which proves to be his undoing. On the one hand, he is an all-knowing god of learning, philosophy, and deep meditations. Annam is considered to be omniscient, but he chooses not to know certain things in his wisdom, which sounds like a very sorry excuse for not actually being omniscient.
Yeah, okay. No, I don't know that because I don't want to know that.
Exactly. But against this vastly cerebral nature, one must set Annam's instinctual, even lustful nature. He's not a god for whom contemplations hold endless attraction. Annam is fertile and vigorous, having sired numerous children and keeping multiple paramours. And he makes a considerable number of mistakes when governed by his instincts. Equally notorious are his insight, jealousy, wit, and impatience. Annam can spend 1,000 years contemplating a single subject while at the same time be an entity who acts on impulse. He is patient, not caring about the passing of time due to his immortal nature, but simultaneously impatient for his long-reaching goals to reach their conclusion. Like he wants it now, but he knows he has to be patient, but he doesn't like being patient, but he guesses he has to, but sometimes he's not.
He's not beholder patient. He's no. So I can see this impulsive-ness in other giants, like they're, especially the lower ordning, they're all impulse pretty much. Just feed me, baby. Feed me.
Yeah. A lot of cases they are. Additionally, Annam is seen in a different light by each of his various different worshippers. For example, hill giants imagine him as an enormous glutton and master of the grandest pantry in all the multiverse.
Yeah, okay.
Stone giants envision him as an unparalleled artist. Frost giants see him as a glorious reveler and warrior. And this may be a chicken and the egg situation. Is he seen as all those things because he is so multifaceted, or is he so multifaceted because he is seen simultaneously as all these things by countless worshippers?
Yeah, it sounds like he's like you're a god creating his I don't know what you call it, like his following. Like he's creating these giants in his own image, right? Mm-hmm. And so these giants all see what they see in themselves as the best parts of them in him.
Right. I think that's it. Yeah, aptly put. So regardless, Annam is remarkably selfish. Like all that aside, he's a selfish son of a bitch.
Cool. He's got a fucking leaderboard that he made himself the top of.
He does. That's exactly right. Seeing all others as hopelessly inferior to himself, and he remains wholly uninterested in the passage of time. Thus, his son, Stronmus, who we will detail later, is the only offspring of all his many offspring who makes him proud and contented. While his other sons, he also has a daughter he also likes, but we'll get into that later too. While his other sons have been distinctly less of a blessing to him. Their endless schisms and bickering weary Annam and bring him depression and loneliness.
Fuck. Can you imagine like going to fucking giant Thanksgiving and just being like sitting next to your one kid, and every time you're forced to interact with the others, you're just like, oh my God.
I picture that's how it is.
Shut up. Everybody just shut up.
To be fair, besides Stronmus, all of Annam's other kids suck. It's true.
So it's legit.
Except for the one daughter that he also likes. She's awesome.
For sure. Got it.
We'll get into it though. Speaking of Annam's children, he had many. His first 6 sons, Stronmus, Memnor, Surter, Thrym, Scorius, and Grolanter, along with a 7th daughter, Hietia, were born by an unnamed sky goddess. Now, whoever the sky goddess is / was, she must have been fairly powerful because all 7 of her babies are greater deities in their own right and the main deities of all giant kind, despite being born far before and far separate from the actual mortal giants that came to populate the world. Like, they're not actually of the same brood.
So it's like the celestial entity, pretty much. I'm kind of picturing the sky goddess as like, we up here and I'm godly, and that's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
I make babies.
And they're so strong.
Really big ass babies.
They're so goddamn strong.
I made 2 good ones.
So each of these children is a patron deity of a specific race of giant, and we have talked briefly about each of them in the respective giant episodes a little bit. We're going to expand a little bit more on that. And before someone hits me in the comics, he's got a lot more kids than this, and by other gods, and he has other children who are greater deities of other giant kind. We're not getting into that. Today is about the core family. It's Annam, Atheia, the unnamed sky goddess, and her 7 kids.
This is all just immediate family. We're not talking about distant relatives.
Yeah, we're
not doing that.
Because we're also not talking about Atheia's other kids, because she cheats on Annam all the time, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, speaking of Atheia, at some point, Annam meets a demigoddess named Atheia, who I could find no description for except for the fact that she has a physical manifestation as a mountain in the cold lands of Toril.
Dope. That's some Moana shit.
Yeah, so Annam marries Atheia, and she bears for him his terrestrial children, the original giants. Their names were Lenaxus, Masud, Nicias, Obadai, Otar, Rook, Vilmos, and his two-headed son, Arno and Julian. And they are
like the Ettins?
Yeah, the Ettins, yeah. Each of these are the progenitor of their specific giant race.
Okay.
So these are the terrestrial children.
This is I'm glad I can look at it because this is a lot of names.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this is the first episode where you have the notes up too.
Yeah, and I should really have just been doing this the whole time.
Yeah, I'm because I'm really enjoying this. But yeah,
we should also note that this is our first episode that we've zoomed. The Dungeoncast.
Yes, I was exposed to possible COVID, so I'm staying the fuck away from everybody until I get tested.
Appreciated.
Of course.
You seem good though, so.
Yeah, no, I feel fine, but we'll see.
We'll find out. Best of luck.
Back to giants.
Oh yeah.
So after the birth of his terrestrial sons, Annam founded a kingdom called Astoria for them and their offspring as a sign of his favor. Okay. He also established the ordning so that his mortal descendants could always know their status amongst each other. And as Astoria, sure, that's why.
Fuck yeah.
As Astoria grew, Annam subdivided the kingdom into several regions, one for each of his favorite sons. Vilmos claimed dominion over the seas and lakes. Nicias was ceded the skies. Root claimed the kingdom's rolling hills. Otar was granted the cold wastes to the north. Masud received the fiery peaks to the south. Obadiah claimed the cold caverns of the Underdark, and Lenaxus, the eldest son of Annam and Atheia, claimed the cold, vast plains as his own and was accepted as a natural leader by others due to his great size and strength. Because that's really what it comes down to. They say the storm giants are in charge because of all these other things. No, they're just bigger and stronger. That's really what this is about.
Yeah, it's not even like brains is okay, I guess, if you got them, but not necessary.
Not necessary, no.
Also, this would make some sick song lyrics, just like detailing what these dudes do.
Change it up
to rhyme a little bit.
Yeah, I should write some metal songs just based on D&D lore. That'd be dope. So shortly after the kingdom was subdivided, Lenaxus constructed Vonenheim, also known as the Bleak Palace. It was a sturdy citadel that served as Astoria's capital for the next 1,000 years. And over the course of the next several centuries, Annam's sons founded the dynasties that became the Hill Giants, the Stone Giants, the Frost Giants, the Fire Giants, and each one was assigned a different name. And the twisted brood of Annam's two-headed son, Arno and Julian, were ultimately known as the Ettins.
Okay, yeah.
So
that all tracks.
Yeah.
We gotta get everybody's leaderboard leaders up there.
Right, exactly. So at almost the same time Astoria was founded, the first dragons started hatching all across Faerun. At first, the giants paid little attention to the few drakelings that they discovered in icy caverns and secluded valleys, but within a few centuries after some of the dragons reached maturity, the giants recognized the great reptiles as powerful and cunning interlopers who threatened Asteria's very existence. Soon, open warfare raged between giants and dragonkind, with the rich resources of the world awaiting the victor. But after more than 1,000 years of warfare, Astoria finally reached a truce with dragonkind. Accounts of the truce and its origins vary. According to ancient Dwarven manuscripts, the dragons sued for peace in order to prepare for a great civil war that led to the separation between chromatic and metallic orders.
Okay, that sounds dope.
Yeah, that does sound dope. According to the texts and ballads of the giants, on the other hand, Annam and the dragon god Garrix played a game called Wari, which was a strategy board game to settle the war. So skilled were the two opponents, though, that the game ended in a stalemate, and the war came to an end in the same manner. So that's their mythos for why there was a truce.
The fucking story ate itself. They played a fucking board game where they were playing a board game.
Yeah, I know, right? But by the time the war against dragonkind concluded, Astoria had shrunk to only a shadow of its former self. On the day the truce was declared, the nation of giants occupied only the northernmost edge of Faerun. The area is now known as the Savage North and the Cold Lands.
Yeah.
So currently,
icy spires and shit.
Yeah, currently, Annam has largely retreated from the events in the prime material plane. There are many theories as to why Annam turned his back on the world. Some say he simply grew tired of watching over the countless worlds he created and conflicts on them, particularly those of his competitive children. Others, in more humorous vein, say that he fled to escape his many nagging paramours, concubines, and wives, a result of his lustful nature. But,
Okay.
but 5th edition claims that when Astoria fell, Annam disowned his children, swearing never to regard the giants again until they returned Astoria to its past prominence and reclaimed their rightful positions as rulers of the world. But still, most sources disagree with even that, and they say that Annam's disappearance involves a betrayal by his wife, Atheia.
I like the one where his leaderboard gets shit on by a bigger, better leaderboard.
Yeah.
He throws it in the fucking, it's like static, like stone. He has to make a new one when it changes. He just fucking breaks it, throws it in the trash and leaves. It's like,
I like that one too. And that is the most current one, but I can't ignore the one that every other freaking edition had. So let's get into it.
It's probably some combo, but yeah, let's talk about it.
It's whatever you want if you're the DM. So let's talk about Atheia. Again, I couldn't find any description of where she came from or what she looks like, save for the fact that she physically manifests in the world as an enormous mountain. So as far as I'm concerned, Anna married and had kids with a mountain. And apparently Atheia was one very alluring mountain because she had quite a few more children from some other gods.
It's just like, man, this land formation is big as fuck. I'm into that. Yes, sir.
Exactly. For Atheia developed an interest in a minor sea god known as Ulatiyu, and they had an affair. And this was hardly her first adulterous foray. Long before this, she had betrayed Annam with agreed destruction, frenzy, and violence, resulting in the creation of the ogre race. During the last few years of the war,
yikes.
Yeah, I know. During the last few years of the war, while Annam was preoccupied, and Ulatiyu and Atheia carried out a passionate affair they hoped to conceal from the jealous Allfather. Ultimately, though, their union produced 4 sons who later founded the 4 giant kin dynasties of Firbolg, Verbeeg, Vodkin, and Fomorian. I know 2 of those.
Yeah, I know 2 of them. Verbeeg rings a bell, but I don't really know what that is.
Yeah, I haven't really looked too far into them. So, despite Atheia's best efforts, Annam eventually discovered her dalliances and sought revenge upon Ulatiyu. His wrath was terrible, and ancient giant carvings show him slaying Ulatiyu, causing a massive tempest. Ulatiyu fell deep into the cold ocean, where his magical amulet began to freeze the ocean waters around him. Heartbroken, Atheia refused to procreate with Annam again.
Okay.
And Annam, who refused to be denied, tricked her by taking the form of a divine... Hold on. I got to read this sentence. He tricked her by taking the form of a divine wind and blowing across her slopes, souring one more son.
Whoa.
who would restore the falling giant kingdom.
What the fuck?
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna back out. I'm gonna back out of this bad place my brain went and go into I do like the idea of these the physical manifestations of nature, kind of.
Yes, absolutely.
Sort of embodying.
And to me, it very well reflects something Zeus would have done. Zeus would have blown his gentle winds across her slopes, and there would have been a kid somehow.
Oh, gross!
However,
this is so gross.
She immediately realized what had been done and refused to give birth to the child. She's a god; she can do that. They eventually came to a reluctant agreement in which Annam would leave the world behind till his last son, Atheia would give birth to, called out his name. Atheia, in turn, would not expel the child prematurely. Unfortunately for Annam, this plan never comes to fruition, for the ice spreading from Ulatiyu's amulet formed the endless ice sea and the Great Glacier, which destroyed much of what little remained of Astoria. So dead Ulatiyu got his revenge by turning into a giant ice boulder.
Cool. That's good.
Which even threatening the capital city of Vonenheim, where Lenaxus, the eldest of Annam's terrestrial children, dwelt. He and his brothers wished to stop the spreading ice, but Atheia, in her grief for Ulatiyu, forbade them from even so much as setting foot on the ice. In defiance, Lenaxus met with his siblings to develop a plan to retrieve Ulatiyu's amulet and stop the destruction of their capital, but his brother Dunmore refused to disobey their mother and instead threw the meeting into chaos. Lenaxus was forced to modify his plan, instead deciding to poison Atheia, so he decided to kill his own mother.
Well, they're so fucking high level, though. What is poison going to do? That's a metagame joke about how poison stops working at the high levels. He
did poison her with something very specific. I don't know if I read it down, but it was some super mega ultra poison from some sacred land. Anyways.
That's in page 248 of the DMG. Super mega ultra poison.
That one.
Just kidding.
So this plan ends up backfiring horrendously when he accidentally poisons most of his brothers as well.
dumbass. Okay.
When Atheia insists they all drink with her. Atheia cursed her son with her dying breath, and then her mountainous body died, trapping the half-grown final son of Annam, the one he's waiting to hear on from in order to come back within herself.
So she couldn't give birth because she died.
Yeah, basically. Now, I think later on in some other book somewhere, like there is an adventure where like they somehow bring this dude out and he is born. I can't remember his name. It's like Heart Blight or something weird like that. I don't know. I didn't get into it. I was like, that's too much. I got other stuff to talk about. So
it does sound fun, like your adventure leading to like, we must give birth to the final son of Annam.
Yeah.
We got to cut this mountain wide open, baby.
I think it was called Heart Killer or something like that. I don't remember.
We're going to frack the top right off this damn mountain.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now, there is a lot more to this story. Oh, I wrote this in my notes. Now, there's a lot more that happens later, but we're going to leave it there and move on to other deities. Plus 5e simplifies all this by just saying that Annam is mad at the giants for losing the war to the dragons, and that is why he turned his back on the world.
When the world turns its back on you, you turn your back on the world.
Time for
but
he
did not Hakuna Matata.
No, he
did the fucking opposite.
Yeah, we should have Hakuna Matata and take a short rest.
Hakuna Matata. This episode of the Dungeoncast has been brought to you by MacabraShop.com. Need a gift for a dark, spell-slinging warlock or necromancer? MacabraShop.com has handcrafted creepy Christmas ornaments and gothic jewelry of eldritch design. All their jewelry and ornaments are one of a kind and made with semi-precious stones, crystals, and hand-sculpted details. They also accept commissions on custom design pieces, so if you're looking for something special, contact them and they'll be happy to work with you to create the perfect piece. That's MacabraShop.com. And be sure to use the promo code DungeonCast to get 10% off your entire order at checkout. MacabraShop.com. Creepy for life. We've returned.
Indeed we have.
We're back. Well, this Pantheon thing is cool. It really is just like a bunch of drama.
Yeah, it is. I don't know why, but I eat it up. I had a really good time researching today's episode. Yeah.
These are like the comic book heroes of old. Like, not these ones. Giants. This is like the D&D version of that. But when I think about like a Greek pantheon, that always seems like how people write comic books these days, where a poet will pick it up and be like, well, what if it was like this though?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that.
Especially DC Comics, but yeah, absolutely.
Right. And this has that feel to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Like these are heroes or big figures that are, they change from edition to edition and their writings are picked up and manipulated a little bit.
Yeah.
I did want to pick up a little bit on the Verbeeg.
Right.
So the Verbeeg and the other four races we mentioned, and plus Goliaths too. I pulled that up. So
cool.
I'm just checking out the Forgotten Realms wiki, since that's the like official sort of setting according to D&D. But these Verbeegs were giant kin, like all these are, and they were sometimes known as human behemoths because they resemble humans more than any other giant race. And Verbeegs were accomplished spear fighters. So that's literally the first paragraph that you see when you pull up Verbeeg on this wiki.
Okay, so they're like just big humans.
Yeah, they look strong. They don't look quite like Goliaths. Goliaths have more like that Kratos look. They kind of look like they've got like giant-y features, maybe like their big floppy ears and like the big nose and brow and stuff like that.
Right.
Kind of more of a Neanderthal look. And then we got the Vodkin.
The wood giants, right?
Those are actually just wood giants. Yeah. They're giant kin.
Which we will talk about next giant episode. Spoilers.
Right. So they shun contact with giants. They live in the forest, obviously. So Firbolg or Furbolg.
We know what those are.
Talked about those before.
Yeah.
Playable race, really popular.
Yeah. Also different now than they used to be.
Yes. And then the Fomorians, they're basically just big.
We just did an episode on them this year, so.
Yeah, so you should be caught up if you're paying attention. And the Goliaths, obviously, I can't find on Forgotten Realms wiki like the tie to giants specifically, like right off the top, but we know that those are giant kin as well. Right?
Yeah, in some settings they are, and others I'm not sure if they are. It's their whole origins are unclear, like so many things in this game.
Yeah, we were talking about it during the break that they haven't come up yet. Well, why not?
Yeah,
So
they're not tied into much of the lore, but yeah, let's get back into it. So giant gods. We're going to go over Annam's main 7 children, the most prominent ones, and we're going to start with his first son, Stronmus. So Stronmus is the giant deity of the sun, sky, weather, seas, and joy. He is the eldest son of Annam and the brother to Hietia, Grolantor, Memnor, Scoreas, Surter, and Thrym. He's a patron deity of the storm giants. Shortly after he came of age, Stronmus adopted the skies as his purview. With Annam gone, however, he is now responsible for the affairs of the entire ordning, though he certainly doesn't covet his father's power. The moment Annam returns, Stronmus would happily relinquish the throne. Like, he doesn't want to be there, really.
Okay, he's just like watching over his dad's business.
Which is in some aspects a good attribute in a leader, like someone who picks it up because it's the responsible right thing to do, and not so much because they want the power.
Right, yeah.
So he spends most of his time in the outer plane of the Beastlands, which we have not talked about, and will get its own episode one day. It's one of the good-ish, neutral-ish outer planes.
All right.
Here he's believed to inhabit a spectacular cloud palace. At the center of the palace is a magical opal pool, some 500 feet long to the viewer, but of endless size to anyone swimming in it. Stronmus delights in swimming here with Trishina, the dolphin goddess, and his sister Hietia, and with Serminair, the Selkie queen. In the skies in the skies above his home, he rides the air currents with Eredrafania of the elves and Serenita, the Aarakocra goddess. He likes to chill with a bunch of goddesses.
Yeah, it just sounds like you're talking about a fucking rich kid that hangs out at his fucking mansion with his big ass pool.
That's exactly what he does.
5 acres of clear land.
That's exactly what he is, and he has all his pop star girlfriends over. That's who he is. That's Stronmus. He's kind of cool.
I fucking love Stronmus.
Yeah, I love Stronmus too.
Stronmus, let's go.
Stronmus is easily my favorite giant god. Anyways, Stronmus takes pleasure in consorting with good deities of skies and seas, and he has many friends among them. Stronmus is a god in whom the power of life itself flows very strongly. Like his avatar, Stronmus cannot help but be ever smiling, and it is hard for him not to express his powerful energy in dramatic form. He delights in creating powerful storms in the Beastlands, reveling in the lightning and driving rain, whooping to the thunder he creates from his own magical hammer. The dude's just hype. He just likes to be alive. He's just into it.
He's day drinking. He's definitely at brunch.
He's a day drinker for sure.
He's got shorts and a polo on with sunglasses and sandals at brunch.
Absolutely.
That's this guy.
This can be a terrifying spectacle for the unprepared, for the god is very strong and powerful, and sometimes his joy in the elements makes him forget his own strength.
Cool.
Like
sometimes he's too hype, too drunk. He breaks stuff.
Exactly. Like all members of the ordning, each of the giant breeds tends to see Stronmus in a different light. To the hill giants, he is a mighty fisherman. To the frost giants, he's a bold sailor and explorer. To the cloud giants, he's a thundering god of storms. In any case, all see him as far more youthful, vigorous, and carefree than the Allfather. Stronmus is frequently depicted smiling or reveling, enormous 80-foot tall giant with blue eyes and flowing red hair, wearing simple white robes.
Okay.
So that's
kind of like Papa.
That is the only nice giant besides Hietia we're going to talk about today. So cool. Get ready for a lot of really asshole motherfuckers.
I mean, this guy borders on the obnoxious, surely.
He's obnoxious, but he's also dope.
Yeah, he's also the coolest guy. He's at the top of the leaderboard. He will lend you your car note money.
Yeah, absolutely. So Memnor is the next god we're going to talk about. He's the giant deity of pride and control, and he's the patron deity of the cloud giants. Memnor is subtle, charming, intelligent, cultured, and according to some, deeply and intensely evil.
What a charming, intelligent man. But don't fuck with him, though. Just don't even talk to him.
Just don't. His sin is pride, the desire to usurp Annam, even now with the prime god's withdrawn aspect, and to rule all the affairs of giant kind. He is known to be deceitful and intensely cruel. Many of the stories within giant society that recount his exploits emphasize his charisma and manipulative nature. His chosen instruments are evil cloud giants, and the only priests that he will accept. He corrupts them by constantly telling them of their superiority, stressing their firstborn status in the worlds, and by belittling other giant races. He has exercised schemes to usurp Annam the Allfather as the head of the Ordning, but has thus far been unsuccessful. And he ever bends his will towards increasing the power of evil giant kind.
Okay, so he wants to be
He wants to be top dog, but he's
Yeah.
second to Stromnus. Yeah.
What's the cloud giant, Supergiant?
They're the two-faced, the liars of Memnor or whatever they're called.
Yeah, the mask wearing one. Yeah, I know we know what we're talking about. So this guy's when I think of evil, giants, it's those guys.
He's Loki. Okay. Like Stromnus is Thor, Memnor is Loki.
Got it.
Said.
Yes.
When Memnor and his brother Galanter were just children, their play resulted in a mischievous plot to ultimately thrust the Jotunbrunn giants into a minor war against the ogres. As a consequence, Annam forbade his children from interfering directly in the affairs of the giants for as long as he sat atop the Ordning. Once Annam exiled himself from Gudheim, which is his crystal palace in Jotunheim, which is one of the layers on the outer plane of Isgard, which is where he lived.
Yikes.
Memnor and Galanter managed to convince Stromnus and Hietia that the is no longer valid. Basically, Annam is no longer atop the Ordning since he has divorced himself from all giant kind. So, since that day, the children of Annam, Memnor among them, have incessantly meddled in the affairs of giants.
Got it. All right. So they're fuckboys.
Yeah. Generally, giants who worship Memnor are of evil alignment. His most prevalent worshippers are cloud giants, his favorite of giant kind, though many within the race reject him due to his deceitful nature and are more drawn to Stromnus.
Okay.
Benign cloud giants that do revere Memnor typically respect him for his charm, intellect, and persuasiveness, while those who lean more towards evil are known to embrace his selfishness and imitate his trickster ways. Those who worship Memnor believe that Annam has grown old and weak, and they view his incompetence as being largely at fault for the fall of Astoria. Beyond that, his followers value cunning, secrecy, and the element of surprise over victory through mere brute force. They consider their highest duty to be safeguarding the secrecy of Memnor's scheme to one day overthrow Annam.
It sounds like there's some truth there, why they don't like Annam, because he kind of fucking is weird.
In a lot of ways, it is Annam's fault that a lot of bad things happen.
Yeah, because he's just thinking about stuff and it happens. Maybe that's not. Is that all in his control? It sounds like maybe it would be like people.
To be fair, we don't even know how much of that is true. That's the type of thing that his worshippers who think he is like the ultimate power in the universe believe. But we know from a zoomed out D&D aspect that he's certainly not the most powerful thing in the universe. So
he's up there, but yeah.
He's up there, but he ain't the one. So
exactly, yeah.
So next we're going to talk about Surter. Surter is worshipped as the giant god of fire, smithing, and war. He is the chief deity of fire giants and is believed to have been born alongside his twin brother Thrym. He's depicted as an immensely large fire giant with crackling flames in place of hair and eyebrows. Famed for his rivalry with his brother Thrym, each twin tried to be the first to cry out, the first to walk, and the first to talk, and they've competed with one another ever since.
Nice.
Often in legends, these contests are bloody battles, but some tales have the brothers acting side by side on grand adventures. Surter is seen as the more clever of the two, and fire giants attempt to emulate his unsurpassed skill at creating building things. Fire giant priests were normally architects or smiths. Those few who weren't were charged with the responsibility of keeping the rest of the tribe productive, largely by recounting inspirational tales, mostly about Surter.
Okay. I'm picturing Hades from, the Hercules movie, the Disney movie.
Oh, because the flaming hair.
The flaming hair and eyebrows.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
When Hades gets mad, he turns all red.
It's true, yeah. So Surter teaches that fire is pure, cleansing, and strong. The weak and impure burn while the strong survive. Fire is useful as a tool, but must be respected. It is dangerous when uncontrolled. But because of the destructive power of fire, the worship of Surter tends to be tinged with an apocalyptic air. Some observers suspect that the priests of Surter maintain clandestine workshops and armories where they manufacture and stockpile battle gear in preparation for a final, all-encompassing battle that will decide the fate of the world, Ragnarok. If the suspicions are true, these sites are expertly hidden and kept secret even from most fire giants. The same theorists say that Surter stands ever alert in Muspelheim, which is another layer of Isgard, which is an outer plane that will get its own episode one day, brandishing his sword that shines brighter than the sun, waiting for the day he will be responsible for setting the world on fire, burning it down to make room for a new one.
That is fucking cool. And
I mean, in a bad way, but yeah.
In a bad way, yeah. I like how who are these theorists? Just some fucking
scholars and shit.
Yeah, scholars are like what is it? Seers or what oracles. Some giant oracles.
Yeah, exactly that.
There's a Fearbolg in the forest having a panic attack because he saw a vision of Surter fucking flaming down his forest.
Yeah, sure. It could be something like that. Yeah, absolutely. So next we're going to talk about his brother Thrym. Thrym is worshipped by the frost giants as the giant god of cold, ice, and strength. He's depicted as an exceptionally large frost giant wearing chainmail and a coat made of white fur. He is the twin of the fire giant god Surter. Thrym has long rivaled his brother Surter for Annam's affection and pride. But as we both know, Annam actually doesn't like both of them. Frost giants pride themselves on Thrym's victories over Surter and other legendary threats when he proved to have more strength and a steadier heart than his brother. Yet Annam was always more swayed by Surter's well-crafted gifts and by the trophy heads Thrym laid at his feet. For this reason, frost giants bear more ill will toward Annam than most other giants do.
That tracks. I mean, with the giant lore that we found out about fire and frost, like this totally is like magnified at that level.
Right. Exactly.
Them making fire giants making stuff.
Right.
Frost giants.
And frost giants can't make shit.
They suck. The low key really suck.
Because they can't be near fire. I mean, they do suck, but they also just can't be near fire. So.
Yeah. I remember their Supergiant form being very scary.
Because they go to Vakrak the Destroyer and become like troll frost giants.
Yeah, don't they like grow? They get like regen and grow extra head or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah. So unlike his brothers, Thrym is seldom depicted alone. He's usually accompanied by up to 10 shield brothers and shield sisters, heroic frost giants that won such glory during the war between giants and dragons that Thrym granted them the honor of fighting forever at his side. Thrym rules the realm of Fimbulwinter, with a stronghold and fest hall known as Neefhole.
Jeez, man. These are some great, some real zingers.
Yeah. His domain is located on the plain of Jotunheim, part of Isgard. It is said to be mountainous, but covered with snow, ice, frost, and glaciers. It is said that he prefers to roam the mountains and glaciers of this plain rather than maintaining himself in his permanent residence. So he's got a house. He doesn't really stay there.
Yeah. It's like a permanent vacation home almost.
Exactly.
So for like these giants all throw rock. That's like a move they do.
Yeah, sure.
Do these like ultra giants? Maybe this one throws glacier. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
Maybe Surter throw meteor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the monster manual, they have a visual depiction of each giant, the type of boulder they would throw. And each one is kind of flavored. So like the frost giant one is like an icy boulder, and the fire giant one is like a magma boulder. And I mean, there's no point. There's no actual effect, which I think would be cool if there was. But like maybe
like what they'd split up the damage to do bludgeoning and fire damage.
Yeah, or cold. Damage. Yeah, exactly. But
that would be fun.
Yeah. That would be a very 4th edition thing to do, which is of course where my origins with the game come from. So I tend to lean towards that more video game aspect of stuff, but I understand why it's not that way.
It's an extra line of text. Keep things simple, streamline. It's a big rock.
Yeah, big rock. Big rock hurt. Okay. So Scoreus Stonebones is the next god we're going to talk about.
Love that.
He is worshipped as the god of knowledge, crafting, and stone by the stone giants. Scoreus is yet another of Annam's sons. Unlike most of his siblings, though, he is generally disinterested in the affairs of the Jotunbrund as a whole, though he makes an exception for the stone giants in particular and at times intervenes in their affairs in order to guide their development. Scoreus is knowledgeable about banes, magics, and the legends of great treasures buried in the Underdark. His chosen sphere is artistic achievement. Although generally expressionless, dour, and something of a loner, Scoreus has been known to occasionally consort with the gods of the dwarves and the deep gnomes. He's depicted as a large, bulky stone giant with granite skin, and stone giant art, he's typically depicted as being twice as tall as any natural born stone giant.
This is cool.
Yeah. A notoriously neutral being, Scoreus in many giant legends is said to have sat on the sidelines while his other siblings schemed or fought, acting as both an observer and a confidant to all parties. In some legends, he is portrayed as a keeper of one secret or another that others try to either force or trick him into revealing. Ultimately, though, Scoraeus has evaded the many schisms in the Giantish pantheon by withdrawing deep below the earth.
For sure.
Fuck you guys, I'm going home.
Scoraeus, the fence sitter.
I know. Scoraeus is generally considered to be the wisest and most knowledgeable of all the giant gods when it comes to banes, magics, wards, hidden treasures, and the secrets of the earth. His followers highly value beauty, knowledge, and secrets. They equate knowledge with power and consider secrets the ultimate form of power. The priests of Scoraeus believe it is their duty to oversee the affairs of the stone giants, ensuring that they are constantly improving their artistry and pursuit of intellectual discoveries. They believe that the most certain way of ensuring this goal is isolating stone giants from all other races, even the other giant races, urging tribesmen to shun interaction with outsiders on the grounds that it might distract from their artistic pursuits. However, they tolerate individuals who can add to the tribe's mastery of craftsmanship and lore despite whatever race they come from.
Gotcha.
So next we're going to talk about Grolantur, hill giant god. Grolantur is the evil giant deity of hunger, chaos, and destruction, and patron of the hill giants and Ettins, as well as some frost giants and ogres. He's depicted as a 25-foot tall hill giant wearing several belts woven of dwarven beards. He wields an oversized club called Dwarf Crusher.
Cool.
He doesn't like dwarves, if you couldn't guess.
Clearly.
Many say that Grolantur is evil second and stupid first, and though he can be cunning and dangerous at times, he's often willfully ignorant and stubborn. He is wholly dedicated to his own conceit. He absolutely refuses to admit that any other being or deity is superior and tries to instill this attitude in his followers. Needless to say, such impetuousness has made him a number of enemies among the goblinoid gods and above all among the dwarves, for whom Grolantur has an arbitrary hatred.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't stop picturing Larry the Cable Guy as Grolantur.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't picturing that, but I like it.
Yeah, he's just wearing overalls and he's got a big club.
The least of Annam's 6 sons, Grolantur is the black sheep of the family, scorned by his siblings and his parents. Most of Grolantur's problems, however, are of his own doing. Proud of his great strength, his only redeeming quality, Grolantur refuses to recognize the superiority of his older, smarter, and stronger siblings and insists on being treated as their equal, which, when you read that aloud, that doesn't sound like it should be treated as equal, but that's not how it works with the leaderboards. So,
no, I mean, it's definitely not an unreasonable thing to say when you put it like that.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like this guy can't stop talking shit.
Yeah. Oh, no, he cannot.
He cannot stop running his fucking mouth.
So,
they're trying to put him in his place, and he is stubborn. He refuses.
Exactly. He complained constantly of his endless hunger, but rather than hunt for himself, he snatched food from the plates of his siblings and his parents. This behavior caused many fights between Grolantur and his siblings, most of which Grolantur lost. Tales about Grolantur invariably end with his gaining yet another scar in his back, received as he escaped the wrath of a family member who had been pushed too far by Grolantur's insulting boasts and selfishness. He has had to flee his backside turned into a pincushion from the arrows of a wrathful Hietia on more than one occasion.
Man, this is a sad story for Grolantur. He's kind of like a slave to his own nature, which seems like is pestering.
Yes.
But it sounds like he's the target of everybody, because he's the lowest ranking. So he's the target of abuse.
Absolutely. Last god go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, you're good. We're good there. That's all I really wanted to say is I'll shed one tear for Grolantur.
One tear for Grolantur.
Yes.
So the final god we're going to talk about is the goddess Hietia. Hietia is the giant goddess of nature, agriculture, and hunting. She is a dual aspect goddess as her mythic history befits. Annam originally preferred sons over daughters, and he used magic to ensure the gender of all his offspring was male. Hietia's mother, though, the unnamed sky goddess, probably sick of Annam's bullshit by this point, hid her pregnancy from Annam and had her daughter raised by firbolgs so that Annam would never learn of her existence.
That's fucking cool.
She thus had a strong affinity with community, agriculture, and the upbringing of the young, especially with her firbolg priests. Firbolgs love her. She loves firbolgs. However, on learning of her father's identity, she vowed to present herself to him as worthy of his acknowledgement. She undertook a series of arduous trials and quests, mostly in the woodlands where she honed her hunting skills. Thus, she has a much wilder aspect as a goddess of nature, wild places, and hunting.
Okay. So some demigod style stuff,
although she is a full deity. I think even greater deity. I'm not sure because both parents were gods.
More like, complete the 10 tasks or whatever.
Yeah, very Hercules.
Yes.
Hietia is a strong, confident, and proud goddess who is an exceptional huntswoman. She's depicted as a tanned, lithe giantess wearing leather armor and carrying a spear that inflames on her command. A bow and a quiver of arrows. Her hair is red golden and her large eyes are hazel brown. So as I said before, Hietia set out to prove herself worthy of her father's acknowledgement with a series of daring feats. These feats culminated in an epic battle with a great monster, sometimes named as a Hydra with 50 heads.
Oh, shit.
She was said to have used her flaming spear to slay the enormous Hydra, preventing its heads from regenerating by cauterizing them with fire. She brought the trophy of her kill to her father, who recognized her valor and worth, accepting her as one of his own offspring and convincing him to stop controlling the genders of his future children. Thank God.
Well, then it's already over, though. There's no more.
It's true. There are no more. It's too late, bro.
There's just the boy trapped in the mountain.
Yes. There's just the boy trapped in the mountain. Upon learning of her existence, Hietia's brother Strongmas was overjoyed and celebrated by creating mighty storms that flooded the worlds, washing away great evils in the process. I don't know about that. I don't know about these floods only targeting evils, but okay.
Yeah, nah, that probably didn't work out. Did he Noah's Ark somebody? Is there a story about that?
I guess I don't know. So Strongmas and Hietia went on to become very close. Strongmas was probably thrilled to have one sane, non-evil family member for once in his life.
He's like, just let me like duo up with anybody.
With anybody.
Yeah. And so, Annam's probably like, well, Strongmas is about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly right. So
this isn't so bad.
Hietia is worshipped by giants of all species, especially females. Firbolgs and Vodkin, the wood giants, are particularly fond of Hietia and consider her to be their special patron. Hietia teaches that nature is both creator and destroyer, and then admitting defeat is the worst shame a giant can bear.
Nice, yeah. Just don't talk about it. Just kind of eat it up,
right?
And let it fester within.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. That's Hietia's way.
That's Hietia's way. We just bottle our emotions. We bottle up our losses, and hopefully nobody saw us beef it.
So that's all the giant gods I got today, man. That's all the main ones. There are more. They'll probably get episodes in the future at some point. There's so much to talk about with this game, but any questions?
No. I got a pretty good overview of like what this is like. Mm-hmm. And it's surprisingly like, I wonder if they built, like the writers of the giant lore built things from the top down, like how the lore, it sort of suggests like we did everything from Annam and worked our way down, just like the ordning would suggest, or if they were like, had like, big giants, like Jack and the Beanstalk style, like classic giants. And then we build from there and like, well, they must have a god. Like, where does all the writing start and end?
That's a good question. First? And it's really hard to tell when you have so many writers across so many editions, like Surter and Thrym are really good examples of, they weren't really considered gods until 5th edition. And like a lot of their lore was back from before 4th edition. And in that lore, they were like called Titans and they weren't gods, but they still had like a lot of the same lore. But yeah, so I don't know how to answer your question. It is a good question though.
Yeah, it's more like we would need to go on like a Twitter detective trail or like something like that to figure out interviews where writers
we would have to interview a bunch of writers to really figure it all out. Yeah.
So obviously somebody out there knows.
Yeah.
So
sure.
If you want to tell us, go ahead and hit us up in the comments below. We'd love to hear about it. Sure. I did want to mention like the Annam creating the being responsible for like the elemental planes and stuff, and why like we did talk about the big, I always forget the name of them. They were like supposed to be Titan-esque, like the ones that destroy buildings really good.
We're talking about the elder elementals.
Yeah, the elder elementals. Yeah. Like, is he?
We did them this year too, didn't we?
We did, yeah, because they're very big.
They are very big,
and it seems like according to this lore, they are loosely tied to giants. Aside from being big, and creating the elemental planes would like sort of have a big part in that, right?
I mean, most lore would tell you Annam did not create the elemental planes. But
some of it did, right? Like
some of it does, yeah.
He might.
And basically, the way I take lore like that, and you find that kind of thing sprinkled across all the different pantheons and gods, is like, Annam could have created the elemental planes if you want it to be true. Like,
sure.
It's like that. That's basically how that stuff is phrased to me when I read it. because it's like, well, otherwise it's just contradiction. You know, it says Annam created it here, but like other lore says Io created the fucking universe here, and then like over here, Forgotten Realms says, oh, actually it's Ao over everything, and like it's all conflicting. So it's, you know.
Yeah, it's more like suggestions. Like if you need a god to be a creator of this particular area for your story, here's a good fit.
Right, exactly.
And here's something in the official text that says that could probably be true. So like you wouldn't be wrong to the rules lawyer at your table if you know, are shunned for homebrewing stuff.
Right. And then in the real world, like in the real world, religions disagree all the time, constantly. So
that's very
in the fantasy
true,
world, different religions would disagree about everything all the time there too. So yeah. Anyways, I think we're ready to get ready for a long rest.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, let's get ready for our long rest.
All right, sounds good.
William, welcome to the long rest. It's been an not arduous, but it's been a long episode with lots of talking.
It is,
especially on your end.
It might be the biggest episode this year. I guess we'll find out.
It's definitely the biggest topic.
Yeah, that's true.
And in honor of it, my slippies are godly and huge. And as they think about things that are mostly in terms of like, we're getting ready for bedtime, like straight up, I'm pretty sure my slippies were like, we need a campfire. And then it just ignited. And then like that
sounds useful.
That kind of went
but
back.
It also sounds dangerous.
Right. Because there was somebody really close to it. And like they did take fire damage. It was, no. It's a little
Create
weird.
Bonfire.
But you know what? I'm going to sleep. My feet have never been warmer.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. So I believe we have some contest winners to announce.
Finally. Holy shit. This contest ended so long ago.
It did. But you want to go ahead and announce the Instagram winner?
Yeah, so thanks to everybody who tagged somebody on Instagram to get your entries in. I appreciate your patience. So like we don't actually announce the winner until they like respond to make sure that they are the winner. So sorry for the people that were on edge for that. But we got a lot of entries and I really appreciate you guys. So the winner is at XOXOXLYSS. So yeah, congratulations to you. And
congrats.
And I hope you enjoy your coffin full of cool stuff.
Indeed. And thank you for everyone on Twitter who partook in the contest and spread the word about the show. Congratulations to @the who was the name that was pulled. And she has her prize. It's on her way to her. And again, thanks for everyone for spreading the word. And we have a new contest as well. Same rules. So if on Twitter you want to enter, all you have to do is share an episode of the show with the hashtag Dungeoncast. And the prize for this one is real sweet. The new Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
That hot
and we're
new
giving
shit.
away the prize on Indeed. And we're giving away the prize on December 1st. And I believe you can enter on Instagram as well. We're giving away two, one to Instagram, one to Twitter.
Yeah. Same thing on Instagram as the Cursor Strahd revamp and the last couple of contests we've done. So just go find that post. Hit, like it, make sure you're following the account and start tagging people. One friend per comment will get you one entry. People finally started tagging, whoever. Like I see the cast of Crit Roll getting tagged in there and stuff like that. Like that's cool. I mean, like the whole point is to like spread the word to your friends to tell people that like you think might listen to the show. But I mean, like if I get Matt Mercer's attention, that's not bad. For the show.
Cool. Here's a question. What if one of them does the thing and shares it and like they get pulled? I guess they win, right? A Crit Roll member wins. That'd be crazy.
They could, yeah. If the random came up, like I'm not gonna stop Marisha Ray from like winning a Tasha's book. About the show. So yeah, for sure. Whoever you guys want to tag is fine, but I'm gonna we take some. There's some. What am I trying to say? Like. If you're tagging like corporations or like
that's not as helpful.
Yeah, celebrities beyond the scope of, like D&D celebrities is one thing, I think. Like if you guys want to all tag the Crit Roll cast, I guess that's fine. Like I don't see that hurting us, but like or like I don't think that's going to take away from like counting as an entry. Basically what I'm saying is like if you tag Gwyneth Paltrow and I go to see you as like a winner for the show, I have to skip that one. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so like there's some entries. Just use your head. You
common sense.
Be able to figure
like what
it out.
helps the show.
We hold the right to say that like Nike's not going to get you the win. So sorry.
No, that would be.
That's what I've been trying to say this whole time. Is like that sort of thing.
Better example too, Nike.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, anything else?
Leave a like and subscribe. Help our algorithm if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not, leave a review of our podcast on whatever podcatcher you are using, but preferably iTunes is the most notable one.
Yeah, but any of them help are cool.
But we really appreciate it. We see people leaving the iTunes reviews, and we read them all. I mean, they're really typically very glowing testaments of the show, very so true. That's very flattering. Thank you. Otherwise, I don't have anything else. I just really love the audience.
All right.
You guys rule.
Well, I do as well. And I think it's time we call it a game, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.